This is like our presentation hangout room, whatever you want to call it. Years ago, people started giving us things when they came to visit, and we've of course had a lot of people from television that have been here. Nick Groth from Ghost Adventures, Deathwalker. We did a Deathwalker episode with Nick, and he got a lot of stuff in here. Chad Lindbergh, who was also Nick's friend and a good friend of ours. Chad was in Fast and Furious. He played Jesse in Fast and Furious, the very first one. He got killed off in the first movie, that's why I don't see him. But Chad's a good friend of ours, but the thing that a lot of people don't know about Chad is he has a very deep passion for the paranormal.
Oh, wow.
And that's how he got to know Nick, because years ago, he got with Ghost Adventures and they took him out. You know, here's a Hollywood actor going out with them, and then he got into it. Well, anyway, Nick eventually produced a TV show called Ghost Stalkers, and Chad was in it. Very good show. And then, as you can see, lots of other people. John Zaffis, like I said. We've had other people from the Ghost Hunters show that have been here. Dustin Perry was here not too long ago. He got a lot of neat things that happen in here. So they give us things and we kind of put them up on the wall. Like I told you guys, Ghost Brothers were the last ones, and they did a really good event, very cool event here. So, what's funny about, one thing I'm going to tell you guys, the reason I was asking you if you've read up on the place, the building looks unusual from the front, right? The reason why we use circa 1886 is we don't really know how old this place is because of the way the history evolved. Ballinger got formed theoretically in 1886, but it was formed from an actual settlement that was already here that was called Hutchins. And that's the reason why the street out here, the main street, the highway, is called Hutchins, because it's named after the original settlement. Historians told us that this house was already here. So that's another reason why we use circa, because we can't nail the date. We're still trying to nail the exact date. The other weird thing is the railroad formed this place, the Colorado Gulf Colorado and Santa Fe Railroad Company, came up here from South Texas, basically Galveston, coming up diagonally across the state, creating a rail line all the way to Santa Fe, New Mexico. And as they were branching up through here, they actually went to another county seat, which was called Runnels City, which used to exist about 10 miles north of us. It's gone. All that's there now is a marker on the side of the road. And at the time, that's where all your power was. That's where all your influence was. Well, they thought when the railroad came up, they thought they had it in the bag. In those days, you wanted a railroad. That was the thing. You wanted that business coming to your town. They thought they had it. They didn't try hard enough. The railroad comes down here to this little settlement with buildings, this two-story house sitting here, various things, and decides, you know what? We're going to create our town. And they advertised like crazy. I mean, they advertised everywhere. I pulled articles out of newspapers. This little sleepy town had as many as 13 saloons and 3 brothels in it when they built this place. This was a hustling, bustling West Texas town. And at the time, they were trying to turn it into the next Dallas, is what they were trying to do. And the population kept increasing, and after years, the population decreased. So the other weird thing I was going to tell you guys is past this wall, and I'll show you some pictures, which makes more sense in the hallway. When the town got formed, they told everybody in Runnels City, the railroad company, they said, you know what? We'll help you bring your stuff here for free. We'll put it on logs, mules, drag in all your buildings, basically. We'll give you lots for free in town. So guess what everybody did? That's why Runnels City is gone. There's nothing there, because they moved the buildings. Historians told us that the other half of our building, past this wall, upstairs and downstairs, was part of an old building from Runnels City that was moved in and attached to the 2-story house. That's why if you stand out front across the street and you look, they did a pretty good match, but it's a little bit off.
Like one's higher than the other.
Yeah, one's a little higher than the other, and because of that, there are some weird settling problems, you know, because it wasn't one big unit, but it's pretty cool. I'll show you the pictures this way as we look at it. Of course, you guys have been in the kitchen. Everybody always asks me, where does the paranormal activity occur? I tell them everywhere, even the kitchen.
Okay.
So you don't know in here where it's going to come at you next. That's just
Okay.
kind of the way it is. Okay, I was telling y'all the pictures kind of make more sense. So let me get a little flashlight out. When Ballinger was formed, this is a famous picture. This was shot from across the courthouse, looking this direction. So basically across, looking this way. And in the background, you see a two-story house where all these people are posing. It's hard to see, so I've actually done blow up of the background. And here's our two-story house. So this wall that you guys are seeing right here is this wall right here.
Okay.
So we're standing right now, we're theoretically like right here.
Okay.
So that's before this was attached. And the restaurant next door is right here.
Okay.
So you got this big old space, which is basically everything from here, upstairs and downstairs. And we'll go upstairs, of course, and look. One thing I will tell you, the upstairs looks a lot different than the downstairs. All the nice rooms and stuff are really up there. We have a lot of cool stuff down here, but it's a little spookier. And people are kind of like, it's kind of funny. People pick rooms up there sometimes, and they all end up sleeping on the couches in the presentation room. Which is funny to me because that is one of the oldest places in this whole building is this house.
Where the couch is?
Yeah, where the couches are. Everybody thinks they're safe in there. Had a guy get yanked off the couch in there one time because he was too afraid to sleep up there. Something grabbed his arm and pulled him right off one of my couches. And then he was all freaked out, and I said, look, that's the oldest part of the building right there. You're like right where everything was taking place, right in the middle of it, He's like, people don't make sense of that, I guess, sometimes. We've had a lot of people in the building over time. Before I do that, let me give you a better picture of this house. And here you can get a lot better look at what the house looks like that's in that background. This is shot from the top of the courthouse, which the courthouse across the street was built in 1889, and it's actually changed a lot. And it used to look like that with the tower up on top. But in the 40s, they had a lot of damage to it from water, storms, and things like that, so he took off the whole top of the courthouse. But the picture is interesting to me because you can't really tell on here, but I have it up on our Facebook page where I've actually zoomed in on this balcony, and there are 4 people posing right there. And there's a lady in a white dress standing right there. And if you go to our hotel Facebook page, you can probably find it on there because I've done pretty good resolution zooming in. It's pretty cool. We do have a lady in white that's spotted in her, so that could be our lady in white. We don't know. We're trying to figure that out. The place has been many, many things over time. Here's another old picture that was taken in 1886. And that is Hutchins right out here. And you can see all the wood that was brought in, and you can see how everything was, they're basically building. They're putting it all together, little Hutchins turning into Ballinger. If you look in the very background, behind all those low buildings, you will see a taller building. Looks like a house. It's kind of hard to see, but there is a taller structure back there, and it looks like a house.
Over to the left?
Kind of to the right of that wagon.
Okay.
In the background, you see what looks like a house.
Yeah, I see it.
And we think it's this house. We can't be totally certain, but the angle matches up, and the courthouse isn't there yet. So we're thinking the courthouse was put behind there, behind all those buildings. So, like I was saying, it's been many, many different things. It started off as a railroad bunking house, because again, the railroad was coming through. So basically, they put all the railroad workers in there. Then they were putting cowboys in there as a bunkhouse. Then it evolved into hotel/brothels. And we all get so shocked nowadays when we hear that word brothel, but back in the old days, Old West, that's the way it was. You had your old Western towns, everyone had a brothel. This little town, this picture was taken right down the street. That's one of our saloons right there. And that was taken just down the street. And again, there were 13 saloons in this town. And we're thinking next door was one of them. We're about to pop out a lot of information on that. Now with the Old West also comes outlaws. And that's what I want to point out here. I don't know if you guys have heard of John Wesley Hardin, Jim DeMiller, Deacon Miller.
Heard of him.
Called him Killer Miller. And then you got Emmanuel Clements. You also have Bonnie and Clyde. First of all, Bonnie, before I get to these outlaws, Bonnie was born 8 miles down the road that way. And Bonnie was in town a lot. And right after we bought this hotel 7 years ago, we used to leave our front door open, just getting to know everybody. Well, a 95-year-old man walked through my front door one day while me and my wife were standing there, and he's all bent over, all just like a very old man. And he comes into our lobby kind of like this, and then he straightens up right in front of us and starts smiling and goes back in age like right in front of us as far as energy. And he starts pointing. And he goes, that looks the way it did when I worked here as a boy. And he just keeps going on and on. We're just like, whoa, this is like really cool. We're like, you used to work here? He's like, yeah, as a boy. He goes, I worked for Mr. Keel. Well, Mr. Keel bought the building in 1922 and did a lot of stuff to it. The Keel family added on a lot of the rooms in the back, made them what they are now. And Mr. Keel and his wife, Virginia, are actually two of our spirits that are in the back. They're still here. But this old man, when he was telling us all these tales of working for Mr. Keel, all of a sudden he spins around and he points out our front door and he goes, I remember the day I shook Bonnie and Clyde's hand right out here. And we're just like, what?
Oh, wow.
He's like, I shook Bonnie and Clyde's hand. We're like, you shook Bonnie and Clyde's hand? He goes, yeah, they used to stay here all the time. And we're like, they stayed here? And he goes, yeah, they were here all the time. Bonnie had connections here. You always hear about Bonnie and Clyde in Dallas. You always hear about their other stuff. Bonnie had a lot of connections here. They were here a lot. And we have a big mystery thing going on with the jail because Bonnie was held in the jail across the street. And we think that she was attacked in that jail. And we're about to pop out a bunch of stuff on that. That could be the reason why she hated law enforcement so much. We don't know. But it could be a possibility. But the room that psychics are telling us, we don't have on paper that they were here, but having a 95-year-old man tell you that he shook their hand and that they were here, that's proof enough for us. The psychics tell us that there's a pink room up here, up on the top. Psychics tell us that's where Bonnie preferred that room because they had a good lookout. They could look out over the whole area. And when we go up there, you see what I mean. So it kind of makes sense. So if you guys do that in your investigation, you can kind of throw that in and see what you guys get on what your angles are on that. Another cool thing that we have, these pipes belong to Mr. Keel. Again, and he bought the building in 1922. The Keel family was here for a long time. We don't allow smoking in the building for two reasons. Fire, number one thing. Anything with fire, it's like, nope. We allow people to smoke outside if they have to do that or on the balcony. But the other cool reason is the fact that we don't allow it. When you pick up on these things in the building, you're just like, whoa.
It sticks out.
You're right. You'll pick up pipe smoke in here like crazy. You'll pick up cigar smoke like crazy. You'll pick up the very strong old-fashioned perfumes, the old-fashioned colognes. Because when they walk straight through you, like right now, there's no smell here. But if we were standing here and one of them walked right through us, we'd all be standing there going, what the heck? Because that's how it goes down. And as fast as it happens, they're gone. The other cool thing is the cold spots when they walk straight through. It's kind of hot in here.
Yeah.
We have air-conditioned rooms upstairs, but in the hallways, there is really no air conditioning, but it does cool down once the sun goes down. But when they walk right through, the whole area around you cools down. And that's what's really, really cool. So let me take you guys upstairs and I'll bring you back down here. So we can point out some of the rooms up here. You guys can sleep anywhere you want, so I'll leave that up to you. Okay, this room right here, we'll start in here. This is a brothel room, what we call a red black brothel room. And this is an interesting room. Like I was telling y'all, a lot of apparitions are sighted, and this was one of the rooms that happens. Had a couple one night that was sleeping here for one of our events. And we did the event, not a whole lot was going on that night, but after everybody went to bed, they, around 4:30 in the morning, that's our mystery time, usually around 3:45 to 5 a.m., that's when they come out. That's when we label them here. And what usually happens is you see these old-fashioned doors closed, and they'll be asleep, and you'll start hearing people walking around. Because our hallways, you cannot sneak up on anybody in this building out here. If you're trying to do it, you're going to get caught, because our floors just creak and and everything else. But what's really cool is when it's really quiet, and this couple was doing that night, it was really quiet. They heard somebody walk up to the door, and then all of a sudden their doorknob does this, like somebody's trying to come in. So it's starting to wake them up, because they're thinking somebody from the group, because other people were staying in other rooms. They thought somebody from the group was about to walk in. So they're starting to wake up, and they're looking over here. Right as they do, a woman comes right through the door. One of our transparent apparitions comes right through the door, and she floats that way, and she goes straight through the window and just disappears. And they're just laying here like, like that. And it's funny when we hear these stories, because these experiences, because there's been so many here, we hear them first thing in the morning, because they'll come straight to us. We're drinking coffee, they just coming down the stairs, can't wait to tell us. And there's another experience in our book. It's kind of the way it happens. That woman was, and that's the other funny thing is they never look the same. All the women that appear, all the cowboys that appear, the figures that appear, they never look the same. We have so many of them here. I think that's probably the reason. Because so many different women have appeared in here. There's probably been like 3 or 4 or 5 apparitions that have appeared in here. And every one of the women looks different. Different ages, different everything. But it's a really cool room, because you'll get a lot of experiences in here. If you guys do EVPs, they like to talk too.
Okay.
They like to communicate. This other room, it's one that we're in process of fixing up. We're getting ready to paint it. We're getting ready to do lots of different things. It's going to be a French bordello room. So it's going to be similar to that room, except it's going to be a different cover motif. Just had all the windows replaced outside. As plain as this room looks, don't let that fool you. Because again, we used to have a different bed in here before we had this bed. We had a regular square bed. And a mother and daughter, again, who came to one of our events, went to bed, same mysterious time, they hear somebody moving, and Lizzie, who actually has become a good friend of ours since the very first time, she's been back many, many times, she rolls over to see what the noise was, and it was close to 5 a.m. And as she rolls over and looks, there is a solid, pretty woman, blonde hair, down to here, wearing a blue nightgown, standing right here, looking straight out the door. And right as Lizzie makes eye contact, looking at the woman's not looking at her, the woman's looking at the door. Lizzie's mom, without them talking, also was waking up. She rolls over, rolls her head back, and as she rolls, she sees the woman also. And right as they make eye contact, the woman turns her head and looks straight at him in shock, with a shocked look on her face. And then the woman goes sideways really fast over here, and then disappears right in front of them. And they said it appeared like the woman was surprised that they could see her, like she didn't know. And it was kind of that type of weird thing. And there's been other weird experiences in here. We used to have our windows covered before we replaced them. But before that, a lot of people would drive down the street and they see a woman sitting by the window looking out. Or we get reports of people standing on her balcony, like I told you before. And if you didn't know any better and you saw like somebody up on our balcony or just driving by, you think it's just somebody here.
Yeah.
But if you know there's nobody in the building, we're not around, and you see somebody up there, that's how this building's kind of got notoriety, because everybody in town sees stuff and happens all the time when we're not here. Even though we own the building, it really, we do feel like almost like we're caretakers in history. Like, it really is their building. We're taking care of their building. That's kind of what it feels like. This room, very cool. You can see Nick, good picture of Nick Roth up on the wall. He loved this room. Has a good look to it. When people are sleeping in the bed in here, or doing things in here, you tend to hear the cards being played. Like, you'll hear the cards being shuffled, you hear various things. If you sit down, I don't know if you guys use devices, ITC devices or whatever, but if you sit down and you play a poker game with your ITC devices out, and you ask them to call your poker hand, they will do it sometimes. So you'll get actual verbal coming back, because they like the game of poker, and that's the reason why we have all that sitting out there, various things. So this is a cool room. Another thing that happens, which is really cool, is the people that sleep in this room and that room, let's say like either or, like if somebody's sleeping in here and nobody's sleeping in here, or somebody's sleeping in there and nobody's sleeping in here, doors closed, they will hear somebody in the next room. And the other cool thing, I forgot to point it out to y'all, but when this was a house, the old staircase used to come up our wall from the presentation room. You can actually see it up on the wall, the markings. Mm-hmm. Our staircase is old over here, but it's not the original staircase. The original house staircase came up and actually opened up right about here. So even though this is a bedroom, it's all been modernized, changed. At one time, this was probably a big stairwell coming up. So that could explain why there's a lot of, movement, noises, footsteps, various things. Sometimes the feeling hits you, sometimes it doesn't. The way we describe it is like a spider web effect feeling. Like, it's like if you're walking into an old barn, and the barn is just full of spider webs, and you're walking there in the pitch black, and you walk in the spider webs, and all of a sudden you'll start doing this because you want to get them off of you. That's the feeling that happens in here. And you will be walking around, and all of a sudden you'll feel that. It feels like spider webs getting on your skin, except there's no spider webs. And if you do feel that, like if I'm walking around with you and you feel that feeling coming on, usually something else goes along with it. Could be being touched, could be various things. The atmosphere might change around you, the cold spots, various things. So that's like a good indicator. If you guys pick up on that feeling while you're investigating or we're walking around, I would probably stay in that area and see if more comes.
Okay.
Because you'll know what I'm talking about. That feeling hits you all of a sudden. It just kind of jumps out. This room's interesting. We call it Jenny's honeysuckle room. This is Jenny. And as you guys can see, she has offerings. And there's a reason. Jenny moves on her own. And she's actually been documented on film, moving on her own. She's not bad. There really is nothing bad per se in the building. Sometimes when people hear about dolls moving, they freak out. One of the things that happened was when we first bought the building, there was a little prankster in me. I would give the first few tours that we were doing, like the first week or whatever, just like I'm walking you guys through. I put the doll here because I bought the doll in the garage sale before, years before. I put the doll here to see how people would start reacting to her. And when I bought the doll, and this is pretty funny, I bought the doll at a garage sale. I was like 40 years old buying a doll at a garage sale. My wife was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "She's only $10. I was like, "I can't turn that down." I was like, $10 for a doll like that? And I told my wife, I said, "One of these days I'm going to have a place to put her." And she's like, "Fine, for now you're going to stick her in the closet, and I don't want to see her till that day comes." So when we bought the hotel, there was my day. So I put the doll here just to see how people would react to her. And I had no clue what was going to happen. But the little prankster in me was, as we were walking around, people would see her and be like, "Oh, get a weird heebie-jeebies about her. But anyway, I made sure I was the last person out as we were walking to the back. And the little prankster in me, in the very beginning, I would do this and go out. And then we'd come back and I'd make sure I was the last person in the line. And as they're coming back past the doorway, they'd of course look back at her and she'd be looking at the door all of a sudden. They'd be like, oh! Well, I couldn't keep it in, you know. I cracked up like instantly. I was like, it's me, you know. So after a while, my wife was like, quit doing that. And I was like, you're right, I'm not going to do that. Because we don't want to do that kind of thing. So I left the doll exactly the way she was. And one day I was in her by myself, like 2 weeks later, by myself. Doll's looking straight forward, doors open, I'm going back and forth, I'm doing all sorts of work. I keep passing the doorway, she's looking this way. About the 5th time I passed the doorway, she's like that. And I stopped at the doorway just like all those people did, and I was just like, I know that head wasn't looking at the door, you know, before. So, ever since that day, she's been doing that. And sometimes it's her head, sometimes it's her body, sometimes it's something that, her hand, sometimes it's something. She doesn't do it all the time, but she does it about 70% of the time. And she moved probably about 3 weeks ago. So she's probably due to move again. That's kind of the way I put it. So you never know. You know, 70% of the time, that's kind of where that is. So
I don't want to be that 50%.
I got sensors on these 3 steps. They're here for safety, so you don't trip down or fall down. You always go off. You guys haven't read about the place, right?
About the what?
Not too much? You haven't
No.
read too much? Okay, so you probably haven't heard about our doll room. I'll let you have a look.
Oh, wow.
And I will tell you guys, there are 14 real haunted dolls that come from other locations that are in this room. There's also a lot of dolls that were just donated. That, as creepy as they look, there's not really anything with them. You'd be surprised which dolls in here are haunted. Some of them are dead giveaways because there's writing in front of them. Vivian, one of the strongest in here, at least I can say one of the strongest till that one arrived, the one in the case. The one in the case is the latest one. That's number 14. It just came in not too long ago. And you see there's a big indicator on there that says do not touch. Also has a rosary around her neck, and that's a reason for that. That doll has some crazy stuff. We're still
This room has
very crazy stories to go along with that doll, with the other people that had that doll. Nick's words, I'll just tell you, Nick was like, Dan, you probably brought more energy in here. And I probably have, you know, than what we already had. I don't think the doll's bad. I haven't really seen anything with it yet. We've had that one 3 weeks, and I haven't really picked up on anything. The other thing that's cool about this room, it is hotter than heck in here right now. I'm dying. It's really hot in here. The cold spots, when they pop up in this room, you can really feel them. And when you're doing your investigation, you'll see what I'm talking about. I have no AC back here, obviously.
Okay.
You know, nothing powering. The ceiling fans are off. The second powerful one in here is Vivian, this one. And Vivian has anxiety like you won't believe. So anybody gets close to her or does anything with her, you will pick up anxiety. And if you put your EMF meters down here, I want you to watch what they do. And there's several of them. The clown is one of them. He moves on his own. When I say he moves,
the blue clown.
yeah, when I say he moves, I'm not talking about like moving his position. He will disappear from the spot that he's in and pop up somewhere
Oh
else.
my gosh.
So he does that sometimes. This room right here, since we have Bonnie and Clyde associated with the building, we had a Bonnie and Clyde theme room. This is actually one of our most comfortable beds in the building. This room picks up a lot of energy. I won't say for sure Bonnie and Clyde are in this room. They might be. So you can try things in here, but I would tend to say that room up front. I didn't get really into the Outlaws. I was going to kind of save that for this room. I pointed out the pictures of John Wesley Hardin. Jim the Deacon Miller, and Manny Clements. Well, anyway, those three outlaws, what happened was they all ran together as a huge gang in the early 1800s, or should I say after the Civil War. They were all running together. Well, anyway, Manny Clements, who was older, decides to, after years of doing all sorts of stuff in Central Texas, as far as bad deeds, and was accused of killing many people, decides to come up here. And back in the day, they used to kill people because they'd steal cattle. And when they stole cattle, they would kill people. So that's where a lot of their killings came from. And stealing cattle was very bad back then. If you did cattle rustling, they'd hang you. Manny, together with John Wesley Hardin and Jim the Deacon Miller, were all running together. They shared different last names. The thing that nobody knew was that they were a family. They were all related. They were all married to cousins and daughters. Jim the Deacon Miller, what was that noise? Oh, it's somebody at the restaurant out here.
It sounded like something like
Right here, besides the kid voice?
Yeah, it wasn't a kid voice. It was like...
They're probably listening. There's a reason why I'm getting to Jim here. He's probably here right now. Jim the Deacon Miller was married to Manny Clements' daughter, Sarah Clements Miller. And we get a Sarah in here a lot. So you throw that in your investigation as well. Mm-hmm. But what happened was, after Manny was killed, Deacon and John Wesley didn't take too kindly to it. Nobody would. It was family. So Deacon, first of all, Deacon's choice weapon was a double-barrel shotgun. That's how he killed everybody. Kind of sound effects to go along with everything, right? Deacon went through his whole life. He was accused of killing 227 people. They called him the Psycho of the Old West. That's how scary he was. If they ever did a movie on Deacon, it would be one heck of a movie, because this man was incredible. That chair back here, whenever somebody sits in that chair, they get thrown out of that chair. Weird stuff happens. That chair used to sit in there by itself. We just brought all this new furniture in here, because now we're creating the room and we're calling this Deacon's Den. This building was 4 different hotels. It became the Park Hotel in 1920. 1922, the Keel family owned it. I showed you their picture up on the glass case, and Mr. Keel and Virginia are in the back where we're going to walk. But the Seacrest sisters had this hotel also, when it was called the Seacrest Hotel. So we kind of created this sitting area, and we call it our Seacrest sitting area. The doctor did a whole research study on the use of mirrors to contact the other side. So this isn't just like a myth. This was like a real factual research project. And ever since then, people have been creating this. Now, I put this in because I got the idea that, oh, it's just another way to communicate with them. And some people sit in here and they don't have anything happen to them, but the other people that sit in here, that's where it gets really cool. They will see people from the 1920s waving back at them. And the way you're supposed to do it is you sit in the chair. You're supposed to be by yourself. Can't have a second person anywhere around. So you have to be in there totally by yourself. You have to turn that light off. You leave these lights on, and basically sit in the chair, and then you close the door. You of course want to do it late, because it can be hot otherwise. But what's cool is while you're in there and you're by yourself, the cold spots again come up around you. Sometimes you see mist form, and then you will other people see weird figures coming in. So you want to remember Octavius. You went by Octi, Ellie Seacrest, and also Kitty Seacrest. So if you throw those 3 in your investigation, and this is what they looked like when they were girls back in the day, with their dad, Washington Hampton Seacrest II. And we think he might have been the one that built this house. We haven't confirmed it totally yet, but there's a good possibility, because he was given a lot of land back in the day, and he might have got a lot of money. So that's basically it.
You got the K2 meter on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the first thing Melanie and I are doing is we're going to do our preliminary walk through the hotel to rule out any electrical interferences or things that may cause issues when it comes to our investigation and doing surveillance.
Eric Hammer.
Eric Hammer.
It's red.
Oh, I know why it's red.
Oh, the ball.
Yeah, the ball is on, that's why.
I'm like, why is it red?
Now it's normal.
Now it's normal.
All right.
There's a cat ball, but it ain't going off.
Is it on?
Uh-huh. I turned it on. This room is clean. This room is clean. All right, well, those are the three. This is the workshop. Nothing in here. What's that room called?
Necklace.
Necklace.
That is a noose necklace.
What, this crazy room over here? Mm-hmm. The phantasm room? No.
Octavia.
Who's Octavia? Where does that come
That's one of the people that he said Octavia, and they call her Octi.
Her name is Octavia Sechrist, Octi Sechrist. This is her sister, Ellie. Ellie might be the one standing in that picture. We don't know. On that balcony I was telling you about earlier.
Oh, okay.
She tends to dress in white. But the girls, 3 of them are here, so they interact a lot.
Did Octavia live in this house? Psycho Mantium. There's no readings.
It's
in
not
here?
for you.
Okay.
No, it meant it's not for me. It's for you. You
No.
going back in there.
She said it's not for me. She said it's not for you. One of us has to go in there. So far, no readings at all.
It said games. Let the games begin. You notice it said that right when we were about to come upstairs?
Am I dead?
Yes.
Leave here.
I hate when Ghost 2 say that, am I dead?
See, it smells like diapers. That doll looks creepy in the nightlight. Whoa.
Is there anybody in the doll room that want to talk to us?
There's a finger on her necklace. You're creepy, Annabelle. Hello? Nothing.
It looks even creepier night vision.
Yeah, it does. Do you want the other lens?
No, I mean, that's fine right there.
Earlier you said those two were ready, so I just thought it was ready.
Yeah, it has battery pack on it, so it's good. Millimeter.
Goodbye. I like Willie. Be quiet. Deacon Jim is here. Sin.
So basically, if you guys come back here, you can talk with Jim the Deacon Maurer. Call him Killer Maurer, call him Deacon, whatever you guys want to call him. But I will tell you, he's very sneaky. If you're in here doing your thing, usually you'll hear him come down the hallway. You'll hear the woods.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And there's no denying that stuff.
Sit back so I don't.
Oh, there I am. Okay. I was looking at yours. I was like,
Oh,
yeah.
I can see you on both of them.
Okay.
I'm sitting back so that I'm not touching the table.
Thank you.
You're welcome. If there's any spirits in here with us, can you touch the table and let us know you're here? That just went off.
I know, right when you said.
Tradition. Impressed.
We got some cat balls on the table. We have a plasma ball. You could touch that. Or you could make these balls move here. Is there anybody here who would like to talk to us? Is there any spirits?
Hell.
What do you need help with?
Did you used to own this hotel?
Beer. Why did you come?
Did it say beer?
I think that's what it said, yeah.
Man.
Willie is a man. Can you move the planchette on the table to talk to us?
Why are you here?
You keep asking us why are we here or why did we come here. We came here to try to communicate with you. We want to get your story. We want to know what happened when you lived here. We want to know who you are. You think we should try the other devices?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to switch out cat balls and go ahead and use some of the other devices we have, like the REM pods and the Mel meters. So let's make a switch.
Yes, bring out the other stuff and turn off the plasma.
And turn off the plasma, definitely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Do you want Willie to sit on your bed?
Sit down.
That's interesting.
We're already sitting down. How about you come and have a seat on the bed?
Will you touch that antenna if you want Willie to get on the bed with you?
Stupid.
I'm not stupid.
If you want Melanie to get on that bed, will you touch that antenna? Will you make that device on the bed?
Asylum.
Will you make that device on the bed go off if you want Melanie to sit on the bed?
Can you touch one of the antennas in the room if you're a female? Are you a lady? Can you touch one of the antennas if you're a man?
Lock it.
Are you a cowboy? Can you talk to us?
Or even if you don't want to talk to us, you're more than welcome to make one of these devices go off, just like you're doing with that one. Even though I wish you would be doing that one.
Horror.
Horror, yeah. That is pretty scary.
Can you do it again?
Be careful.
What do we need to be careful for? Is there something evil here? If there's something evil here, well, never mind.
Yeah.
One.
If there's something evil here, make one of these devices go off. Either this one right next to me or the one on the bed. If there's something
Murder.
Or both.
or both.
Were you murdered?
Fool.
You were a fool and you got murdered? I don't know how else to do. Did you get murdered in this hotel?
Okay, if you're a male or a man, make this device light up. The one right next to me.
Are you a man?
What happened?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay, if you're Deacon Miller, my fault. If you're Deacon Jim, or Jim the Deacon,
He's coming.
The deacon
the
is
deacon's
coming?
coming?
Deacon Miller?
No, it was Jim the Deacon. Oh. Deacon Jim, if you're coming, make this light
It's
up.
not easy.
Did you kill somebody?
What do you mean?
Did you murder anybody here in town? Did they deserve it?
Am I a ghost?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Stop recording.
No.
No, that's not gonna happen.
Do you mind if I play with your toys? This is very interesting. Hello. Can I play with your toys? Let's see. So, let's see. How does this go? Am I doing it right? I heard some of these dolls are haunted. Is any of these dolls really haunted?
Beer. Be careful.
Be careful. Are you warning us?
What dolls should we watch out for in this room? Which one should we be careful of?
That one.
Oh, okay.
Is that the scary one? Does look kind of creepy.
It does. It doesn't help that the reflection from the cat ball is underneath her face.
Right.
And it's still going off. It was.
Is this doll in the box really haunted?
And just to let everybody know,
Not.
It's
Said
not
not.
haunted? Not.
Melanie and I are on the floor here. There's not a lot of room in this doll room here. So there's no place for us to stand up. So we're sitting on the floor,
Right here.
and I'm over here. So we're in the room, but we're not near none of the devices. And
Oh my gosh,
the
there
cat ball
goes the
over there
cat.
keeps going off.
Thank you for saying hi. Do you want to come over here and sit down with me?
We should have came in this room first.
Right.
You're pretty active over there in that little rocking chair, or that little doll chair there.
Do you see the one behind you? There's a ball behind you can make light up. So this doll in the box is not haunted, huh? Is that what you're telling us? Can you touch that?
This is my place.
Yes, it is your place, and we're just visiting. What about this doll?
This was a brothel.
Oh, this was a brothel.
Oh, that's a pretty
Wow.
intelligent response.
Forward.
When was this a brothel?
That's great. I like this doll. Can I have this doll? This doll's eyes.
Sure.
Does it sure?
I said sure.
Thank you.
Can I have this dinosaur? Okay, that scared me.
Garden.
Does that mean I can have this dinosaur?
Can you touch the antenna at the top? If he can have the dinosaur?
That's mine.
No, that's mine. Okay. Hello.
More?
Lower your voice.
Now.
Step away from the music box. We'll lower our voice if you step away from that music box. Quit making it go off.
Make this one go off again. That was not me. I thought maybe it was me when I put my hands up on my face, but look. That one was
Well, that
me.
was you.
I want you to go.
That one was me. Well, move away from the music box. And we'll go. You must want us to stay here forever.
What do you want?
We want you to step away from me. Should I turn it off? Maybe move it back? Whoa!
What?
That looked freaky.
How?
How? It just did. It looked
I want
freaky.
to. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Now that would have been crazy if the music broke.
Stop when it said
When
goodbye.
it said goodbye. Alright.
Sit down. Yes.
Oh! He said sit down. Come play with this one. And this one. See that? Those are fun.
Good.
Dang. Sit down. Good. Very demanding. Now it's my turn.
Music box.
We
Stop.
commanded.
Okay, well,
No, it
Yeah.
didn't. All right. See if we hear any noises down there. Just kind of listen for a second. Did you see that?
Is that the?
That's the rope. Did you hear that?
Came from down there.
Yeah. Like on the stairs or on the rail or something.
Yeah.
You come closer.
Rest in peace. Where are we? Thirst.
You come closer. Come down here. Can someone play the music right here by me? With the purple? Can you see colors? If you can see colors, touch this light with the purple. That's crazy. That's creepy.
So we're gonna go ahead and shut down and get some sleep.
Leave these spirits alone. We'll quit bugging them.
We just gotta find a peaceful room to sleep in the night because we've been stirring up every room. So now we gotta go and hide in a room that had little or no activity, so we can get at least 4 or 5 hours of sleep
Yeah.
before we get on the road.
Yeah.
So that's it,
All right.
and see you at the next location.